Hello, welcome to another edition of Interview Podcasts with the Air Force Company Grade Officer Council. My name is First Lieutenant Ty Sunanan. I serve as Vice Chairman of the Air Force CGOC. It is truly an honor for us to welcome Lieutenant General Kevin B. Schneider, who serves as the advisor for the Air Force CGOC. Lieutenant General Kevin B. Schneider is the Director of Staff, Headquarters, Air Force, and the Pentagon. In his role, he synchronizes and integrates policies, plans, positions, procedures, and cross-functional issues for the headquarters staff. Lieutenant General Schneider earned his commission from the U.S. Air Force Academy in 1988. He is a graduate of the Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training Program and the U.S. Air Force Weapons School. He has commanded at the squadron, group, and wing levels to include combat wing in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. General Schneider has nearly 24 staff assignments, including tours on the Joint Staff, Air Staff, U.S. Air Force Central Command, and PACAF. The General is a command pilot with 4,000 flight hours and 530 combat flight hours. He has served in Operation Southern Watch, Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and Inherent Resolve. Prior to his current position, General Schneider was the Commander, United States Forces Japan, Yokota Air Base in Japan. And again, we are proud to have him serve as the advisor of the Air Force Company Grade Officer Council. With that, before we begin, General Schneider, we were able to survey our members of the Company Grade Officer Council across a multitude of bases to come up with a series of questions across 4 categories. Those 4 categories are personal growth, career development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and future of the force. With that, sir, we'd love to begin.
Hi, thanks very much for the introduction. I'm ready to go when you are.
You got it, sir. Under the first category, personal growth, question 1. Sir, how has being a CGO, when you were one, changed to what a CGO is today?
Yeah, I guess I'll try to frame this in maybe from the strategic down to the tactical. But when I came in 1988, the strategic environment in the world was considerably different. The Soviet Union was the primary threat, and I think I can use that word without getting into too much trouble since it's a historical reference. And then when I went on to my first operational assignment, it was in Korea, and obviously the focus was on North Korea. I watched the wall come down. I watched the situation in Europe rapidly change, the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And so my time as a CGO was spent in that strategic environment. And while the challenges were certainly clear and present, they may not have been as complex as they are today. And when I look at the world and how it has evolved and the security situation has evolved, whether the actions that we see both in the military sphere, the economic sphere, the diplomatic sphere, the information sphere that are coming from across the globe. And you cannot look at a website or take a look at anything without seeing another crisis popping up here, there, or around the world. So it's a long way of saying that I think the security environment has driven a bit of a change in what is expected and in how CGOs are expected to operate in this environment. And not to say it was simpler back in the day, but I think the pace of life is a lot faster for CGOs because our Air Force is asked to do more and more, and the variety of challenges that we're asked to deal with is far more diverse across the spectrum than what I had to deal with 25, 30 years ago.
Sir, given your breadth of historical knowledge and what you've experienced in your long tenured career in the Air Force, is there a single best piece of advice that you have for CGOs?
I don't know if I have a single piece of advice. I'll try to offer a few things that were given to me. And the first one was be good at your job. Whatever it is the Air Force has given you to do the best you can. A boss of mine, General retired Gary North, used to say, be outstanding or be out processing, which again, I certainly understand the focus and what he was trying to say. there will be times when you end up in an assignment or a position or a job that maybe was not what you wanted. Maybe it wasn't what you put on a dream sheet. Maybe it wasn't necessarily in your career field. But regardless, do the best at the job that the Air Force has given you to do, and things will take care of themselves. I'd also say, aside from the job performance, as a CGO, there's a certain amount of professional discipline that is expected both on and off duty. I didn't realize that until I stopped being a CGO. And when I was a major, I probably learned lessons about officership that I should have learned when I was a CGO. And I learned that from a very sharp master sergeant named Jeff Cooey, who retired as a chief master sergeant later in his career. So again, I would just say, there's a discipline in your professional life, and there's also a discipline in your personal life that needs to be adhered to. The third thing, and I've heard the General Brown talk about this as well, is just attention to detail. Just do not walk by a problem. Do not take shortcuts, but be very, very meticulous in your approach, because I think those foundations and those habit patterns are only going to continue to be expected in greater detail as you go further. So having that establishment, or being able to establish those as a CGO, will carry you on, whether you continue on in the Air Force or whether you do other things. And then the last piece, and I definitely heard General Brown talk about this, and is to have fun, enjoy what you're doing. I mean, I cherish the days, and I look back with fond memories, and I say this probably more often than I should, is I miss being a captain. There was a certain, in some ways, the jobs were more focused, they were more tactical, and there's a closer connection to the mission, and I was much more closely intertwined with the people doing the mission. So enjoy what you do.
Great. Thank you, sir. Those 4 pieces of advice is not only timely, it stands the test of time, frankly. And I'm sure a lot of CGOs listening to this are going to steal that line of be outstanding or be out processing. It's very true about discipline in and out of the uniform. Attention to detail really matters. And so is having fun. I've been to enough retirement ceremonies where the number one theme on retirement speeches is the time went by very quickly. So we appreciate that, sir.
And I'll give full credit to General North for the outstanding out processing bumper sticker there. But again, he was one of my bosses when I was a young captain at Massawa, and again, because of his personal excellence and the things that he was doing, he could walk the walk, talk the talk, and set those expectations. So as a follower and as a CGO at that level, I mean, he was a man that we all wanted to follow because he could practice what he preached.